Hello everyone, thanks for tuning in to today's second video. We're going to have a look at the weather for the next 10 to 14 days. For today's second video, day 10 will take us to the 17th of February, and we'll be able to extend out beyond that with extended GFS and ECM ensembles, which will around a couple of weeks. We're going to have a look at CFS-V2 at the end of the video for the next 4 weeks, which gets us into the early part of March. We'll begin at bringing update with everything stratosphere-wise as well. So I shall get on for all of that for you in a moment. Just say the first video today was our 6 AM upload. So please check out that video if you'd like to do that. Please like, share, subscribe on the vids. And thank you so much, everybody. For doing that for GavsWeatherVids, hope you're having a nice Monday. By the way, the webcam is back to normal. I've lost the mistiness. I don't know what it was, actually. It just sort of sorted itself out. I don't know what happened. But anyway, we're back to normal. So, clear Gav rather than misty Gav. Play Misty for me. I don't know. I'm feeling a little bit exuberant today because Mrs. P should be, or might be, getting out of hospital tomorrow. So yeah, hopefully she'll be home, later tomorrow or by middle of the week anyway. Right, okay, so let's just start off by having a look at what's going on in the stratosphere. So this is how temperatures are currently looking at 10 HPA over the Arctic and the North Pole, set against the average. Excuse me, everybody, I'm so sorry. Right, so Great Line causes train line this time of year. We should be lifting the temperature up at 10 HPA in the North Pole, or over North Pole. At the moment, we're still colder than average, as we have been through most of this season, still a colder than average temperature at 10 HPA in the stratosphere. So we're hovering somewhere around minus at 65, something like that. And we should be like minus 55, so around 10 degrees colder than average. However, if we go even lower down to 30 HPA, which is closer to the troposphere, check this out. We are under minus 80 still. At this time of year, the grey line shows early February. We should be kind of like minus 68, minus 67, something like that. We're actually around minus 85 or so. Exceptionally cold and, really, really unusual to see it as cold as that this late in the season. You do tend to get this earlier on in the season, like December and into early January, you can get very cold stratosphere. It's quite unusual to have it that cold this late in the season. So this is driving the polar vortex, of course. We have got quite a strong polar vortex, and in fact has reached record-breaking strength. This is from weatheriscool.com. You've not seen this for a long time, but this is depicting the strength of zonal winds at 10 HPA. So zonal winds are kind of like a reflection of the energy, I suppose, driving the polar vortex. So if you think that the cold temperatures are like the petrol, then the zonal wind is like the engine that drives the PV, if you like. And we can see, but a few days ago, we did actually reach record-breaking strong zonal winds. We broke the date record and went to there a few days ago. We have seen a slight reduction of zonal winds. Of course, we're still above average. We're around here now with the strength of zonal winds. And the black line shows where we should actually be with zonal winds. They should be weakening now as we're going into the late winter and towards spring. So obviously very, very much stronger with the zonal wind compared to average. We did have a record-breaking strong zonal wind, as I said, a few days ago. And the GFS ensembles are actually forecasting zonal winds to reach record-breaking strength again in around 10 days' time, I think. We might break the record again, have a record strong zonal wind in around 10 days' time or so before towards the latter stages of February they begin to weaken slightly, but still very significantly strong now. There's no sign of a zonal wind like dropping out, certainly no sign of a reversal of zonal winds. For that we would need to get to this zero line just here, and there's absolutely no sign whatsoever of that at all. So yeah, very, very strong polar vortex. I think we probably say we've got another polar vortex of doom on our hands. Actually, I think the PV of doom has returned here, given that we are breaking records, for the strength of zonal wind in combination with this extremely cold stratospheric temperature. I think there's enough there, really, to say that that the PV of Doom is back. The PV of Doom has returned. Return of the PV of Doom. The PV of Doom strikes back. Attack of the PV of Doom. Revenge of the PV of Doom. The Phantom PV, maybe. I don't know, but I think it looks like it's back in business here now. PV of Doom. So it's been one of those winters, hasn't it, where if it can go wrong, it will go wrong, and we now have the re-emergence, I think, of the PV of Doom. Let's see if there's any sign of warming of the stratosphere at 10 HPA from the latest GFS. So currently that's the situation where we've got these blue colours. These are the cold temperatures at 10 HPA over North Pole. So again, you know, holding around minus 70, minus 75, something like that over top of the pole itself. As we run through, we just keep those blue colours anchored and rooted to, you know, to the North Pole in the stratosphere, and we carry on pushing through. And there's no real change until we get right to the very end, where we do see quite a significant, but not a sun warming, we do see quite a significant warming beginning to occur there over Siberia. Again, it is falling short of anything that would be construed as a sudden stratospheric warming. For that, you would need to lift the colours into the red category. There's like a modest, rather large warming going on over Siberia by the very end of a GFS run, just 23rd of February. But still, even then, you know, the cold temperatures are still well and truly entrenched and in business over the North Pole itself in the stratosphere, and pushing over more towards the Canadian side and Atlantic side of the Arctic as well by this warming over Siberia. So it looks like it's probably going to be a winter that doesn't have a sudden stratospheric warming at all. We wasn't expecting sudden stratospheric warming, but it looks like this winter is not going to have one. So if it can go wrong, it has gone wrong, and that's going to continue right to the very end. The interesting issue, let's just go back here, the interesting issue as we go into the spring, with this record-breaking strong polar vortex and, you know, zonal wind that we've got at the moment, is in the end we are going to have to see like warming of the stratosphere and a weakening of the polar vortex. So it could be that, because that's like cyclical, you know, as we go into the spring, inevitably the northern hemisphere is going to warm up due to the sun being back in our hemisphere and whatnot. So it'll be interesting what happens after this very strong zonal wind and very strong polar vortex. It'll be interesting to see, you know, as we, even if we don't get a sudden stratospheric warming, just like the cyclical increase in temperature that we will get in spring, whether that has a similar effect to a sudden stratospheric warming. It's possible it might do. I think we saw that a little bit in 2020 after the PV of Doom. You know, March and April 2020 had a lot of warm and dry weather, but then we went into a more of a block type pattern through May and June of 2020 and went into a cooler, wetter pattern via northern blocking. And I think that possibly happened because after such a very strong polar vortex, the sort of cyclical weakening of the polar vortex, if you like, had a similar effect actually to like a sudden stratospheric warming and produce blocking. So that's going to be interesting to see as we get into the spring, what happens as the PV finally runs out of puff. We'll see. We'll keep you posted. Right, central temperature is standing at 7.5. That is 3 degrees above average. That's provisional to the 6th of February. So still significantly warmer than average. That has come down a little bit though compared to the past few days. GFS upper air temperature and precipitation ensembles are looking like this. Next couple of weeks, we're at London today, so red line 30-year upper air temperature average for London. We're starting off above average at the moment. We're going to go cooler than average, below average by the end of the week. A little bit of a cooler snap coming up then. Then we'll leave the temperature up a little bit over weekend into the open half of next week before possibly dropping the temperature into the second half of February. But it's a lot of uncertainty. Within that, though, the thick green line is a GFS operational run. That becomes a bit of a cold outlier later on. You'll see it in a moment, but keep in mind the scenario that we'll see with the 6Z GFS operational is not all that well supported by its ensemble. I wouldn't necessarily say it's an outlier because there are a few that are going in a colder direction, but it does look a little bit outlier-esque, really. So yeah, you know, we might get colder in the second half of February. We'll have to wait and see. Precipitation-wise, loads of dry weather though coming up over the next few days. There will be some precipitation here when we get a lower temperature at the end of the week. That'll be associated with a cold front, but largely dry over next week. And then from around mid-February onwards, gets more and more unsettled. If we have a look at 2 metre temperatures, we can see that they're going to be quite mild over the next 2 or 3 days, and then at the end of the week they will become colder, lifting back up around the middle part of the month, before maybe dropping later on. Again, there's a lot of uncertainty with that though. The GFS operation run is quite cold, but is a little bit of an outlier. Snow row looks like that, so not much really. A few snow spikes around there, and then maybe a few more into the second half of February, but of course that is extended range. Sea level pressure looking like this. So starting off a pretty high pressure at the moment, around 1030 millibars. Generally staying reasonably high with the pressure till around Valentine's, and then a little bit of a lowering of pressure as we get into the second half of the month. If we have a look at the GFS extended ensembles, see how they are looking. So that's how they're looking. Like a little bit of a cooler snap there in a few days' time. Then reasonably mild, really, I think, as we go into the second half of February. And this pushed on into March, actually, by which time there's a little bit of a warming trend appearing as well. So maybe starting to get things a little bit milder as we move into March and move into the spring. You can show the ECM ensembles as well, see how they're looking. So, again, we're starting off with some mild weather over the next few days. You're going to have a colder snap at the end of the week, then milder into the weekend and early next week. This gets us to the 21st of February, by which time we're still looking large on the milder average side. We're starting off reasonably dry. It does turn wetter, though, around mid-February onwards. Temperature anomalies on the 7th to 15th of February, above average, a mild and average week coming up. Precipitation anomalies from the 7th to 15th February, a little bit wetter than average west of Scotland, drier than average elsewhere. The latest wind flow map from earthnoilschool.net shows that we're starting to introduce milder air from off the Atlantic again after a chilly weekend. We're beginning to push the wind back in from the southwest, ahead or behind, I should say, a warm front. There's a cold front, though, that's through here. That will eventually introduce some colder air towards the middle and latter stages of the week. That's happening here on the UK Met Euro run for midnight on Thursday. That's where the cold front will be, somewhere around here. As we get to midnight on Thursday, that will push southwards and introduce this cooler, colder air from the northwest. It is only fleeting, but it will turn cold at the end of the weekend. There is ridge of high pressure. There could be some overnight frost as well. Later in the weekend, westerlies return. Turns milder, wetter and windier as we get to the end of the UK Met Euro run. This is how the icon model is looking. Again, midnight on Thursday. Begin to get a little bit cooler from the northwest. A little bit of a cooler snap, colder snap. Thursday through to Friday, could be some overnight frost. And then over the weekend, that high pressure quickly slips away. Low pressure starts pushing in from off the Atlantic. And we turn increasingly wet and windy as we move up to midday on Valentine's Day, a week today, 14th of February. There are reports in the newspapers today about blizzards and snow bombs and things on Valentine's Day, and a frozen Valentine's Day. Once again, there's absolutely no sign of that at all. So again, pinch of salt needed for those headlines. GFS 6 then looks like, GFS midnight, I should say, looks like this. So again, a little bit of a cooler interlude at the end of the week. Could produce some overnight frost, and then into the weekend it turns milder, wetter and windier with southwesterlies returning, heading up towards day 10, increasingly unsettled with wind and rain sweeping in from off the Atlantic by the 17th of February. More extended range, the midnight GFS run turns things colder, pulls high pressure out into the Atlantic, further out into the Atlantic, and turns the wind into the north. So becoming colder here as we go from the third week of February, -5 Celsius isotherm digging southwards. And yeah, a little bit of a cold snap actually. Winds going into the north-northeast could bring some snow showers into northern and eastern areas, and certainly a more wintry feel with the GFS midnight run before it eventually turns wet and windy and stormy with this deep area of low pressure sweeping in by the 23rd of February. Of course, that is a long way out. That will blow away the cobwebs, so This hour 6Z is looking once more a little bit of a cooler interlude at the end of the week. Then we go milder over the weekend with southwesterlies returning. Next week looking rather wet and windy with low pressure driving in from off the Atlantic up to day 10. 17th of February looking rather cold and showery. Again, similar to the midnight run in the extended range, GFS 6Z pulling the high pressure out into the Atlantic, turning wind into a colder northerly. So this also has a cold snap. We're actually bringing in -10 cells ice firm to the far north and northeast with this one. And we finish up looking like that with some higher pressure to our south, some lower pressure around Iceland, trying to go a little bit milder. Bear in mind that cold snap in the third week of February there is not all that well supported by the GFS and its ensemble. So a large pinch of salt required. After 10 days, it's not well supported. Right, moving on to GM. If you enjoyed the video, can you please smash the like button, make sure you sub to the channel. Thank you so much everybody for doing that, and drop a comment, let us know about this and all of our videos. GM again shows a cold front pushing southeastwards, turning a little bit cooler at the end of the week, and then into the weekend we get wind turning into the southwest, so it starts to get milder into the weekend with southwesterly winds. Early next week looking very mild with a long fetch southwesterly taking us up to day 10, which is 17th of February. You have high pressure south, low pressure to the north. There's probably a weather front that's bringing like persistent rain from central Australia, coast to south bit, pretty mild to the north bit, turning a little bit colder. And then the ECM finally looks like that. So once more, a little bit of a cooler snap at the end of the week. That gets pushed away over the weekend as it turns milder, wetter and windier. And then next week looking quite unsettled with low pressure bringing spells of rain in off the Atlantic. Despite that though, at least it will be mild. Precipitation-wise, you look like this. So, yeah, you know, a little bit of a cooler interlude coming up in the next few days. Not much away snow, a little bit from the north. And then we go milder, wetter and windier over the weekend, of course. And then that takes into an unsettled week next week with regular bouts of rain pushing in from off the Atlantic. Always cold enough for a little bit of snow in the north. These are the options that are on the table within the ECM ensembles today. For day 10 gets us to the 17th February from the Icelandic Met Office. 27 members of the ECM ensembles have low pressure to the north and high pressure to the south, and winds are in from a westerly direction. 13 again with deep low pressure out to our west, winds coming in from a westerly direction, and 11 with low pressure again to the northwest. A little bit strong with high pressure to the south though with that one, and a little bit more of a southwesterly wind. They're all rather Atlantic driven, and I would say look quite unsettled. You know, the majority option looks pretty unsettled, particularly from the north and west, but not exclusively so. In 2 weeks' time, these are the options that we've got. Will get us to the 22nd of February. 15 members of the ECM ensembles with low pressure to the north, high pressure to the south, and we're bringing in westerly winds. 14 with high pressure over France, low pressure around Iceland and Greenland, and again bringing in a westerly flow. Another 14 more influence from low pressure, quite deep low pressure in of the Atlantic, and then a minority option of 8 has us under high pressure, and could actually be a little bit chilly with that. Could be bringing wind from like a northeasterly direction due to the high pressure being a little bit centred to our northwest. That's a minority option, but there is a possibility it might turn a little bit colder and drier as we get to around 22nd of February. Lastly, the CFSV 2 to 500 millibar heights bring down to week periods. The first week period is going to take from the 7th to the 13th of February. So the coming week with high pressure to the south and west and southwest, low pressure to the north, northeast. So yeah, a lot of dry weather to come in week ahead. Week 2 will be the 14th to the 20th of February, with again low pressure on Iceland and Greenland, high pressure to our south, looking pretty flat and westerly and more unsettled, especially so in northern areas. Week 3 will be the 21st to 27th of February, lots of low pressure away to the northwest, high pressure to the south and to the southwest. Again, winds are coming in from a westerly direction, most unsettled in the north. Week 4 gets us high pressure, 28th of February, 6th of March. Big area of high pressure and takes over across Western Europe, and that would deliver spring-like weather. Could be frost by night, but by day, with March sunshine, you would be pleasantly mild, if not relatively warm, with temperatures probably into the teens Celsius. Positively spring-like with that, I think, by the beginning of March. We'll see. Right, if you've enjoyed the video, then please go and smash the like button. Make sure you sub to the channel. Thank you so much for doing that. Don't forget to tell your friends and family about GavsWeatherVids. Thank you so much. And drop a comment. Let's know about this and all of our videos. If everyone who subscribes brings a friend, we're going to get to 14k, which is our next ultimate target, so much more quickly. Thank you so much, everybody. Right, we're done then with today's video. Just tell you what's coming up tomorrow. So 6 AM upload, EC 30 days / 6 weeks ahead for Europe, and sorry, extended European outlook, and a 10 to 14 day as well. Please like, share, subscribe on the videos. Keep checking back for more. Enjoy the rest of your Monday. That's all for now, and thanks for watching.